Welcome to the fascinating world of human thinking. Today, we explore the two systems that shape every decision and judgment we make. Psychologists have long studied how our minds operate in two distinct modes. One, fast and automatic. The other, slow and deliberate. These systems, known as System 1 and System 2, are at the heart of how we perceive, react, and reason. Throughout this video, you'll discover how these systems interact, sometimes cooperate, and occasionally conflict, influencing everything from simple perceptions to complex problem solving. Let's begin by understanding their unique characteristics and roles. Imagine glancing at a picture of a woman's face. Instantly, you recognize her mood, perhaps anger, without any conscious effort. This is System 1 at work. Fast, intuitive, and automatic. You didn't intend to assess her mood or anticipate her next words, but your mind did so seamlessly. System 1 combines seeing and intuitive thinking, projecting what might happen next. It's the mental autopilot that operates beneath your awareness, handling impressions, feelings, and quick judgments. Now, consider a multiplication problem, 17 times 24. You instantly recognize it as math, but solving it requires effort. You might recall the steps from school, grab a pencil, and work through the calculation. This is System 2 inches action, slow, deliberate, and effortful. System 1 operates automatically and quickly, with little or no effort and no sense of voluntary control. System 2 allocates attention to effortful mental activities, including complex computations and logical reasoning. When we think of ourselves, we often identify with System 2, the conscious, reasoning self. Yet, System 1 is the hero behind most impressions and feelings, shaping our beliefs and choices. The interplay between these systems forms the core of our mental life, with System 1 generating suggestions and System 2 deciding whether to endorse them. System 1 handles a wide range of automatic activities: detecting distance, orienting to sudden sounds, completing familiar phrases, making facial expressions, detecting hostility, answering simple math, reading billboards, driving on empty roads, and recognizing stereotypes. Many of these skills are innate, shared with other animals, while others become automatic through practice. System 1 accesses knowledge stored in memory without intention or effort, making it the source of quick, involuntary reactions. Some actions are completely involuntary. You can't help but understand simple sentences in your language, or orient to a loud sound. You can't prevent yourself from knowing that 2 + 2 = 4, or from thinking of Paris when asked about France's capital. Other activities, like chewing, can be controlled but usually run on autopilot. Attention is shared by both systems. System 1 mobilizes voluntary attention from System 2 when needed, such as resisting the urge to turn toward a loud comment at a party. System 2's operations require attention and are disrupted when attention is drawn away. Examples include bracing for a starter gun, focusing on clowns at a circus, searching memory for a surprising sound, maintaining a faster walking speed, monitoring behavior, counting letters, telling your phone number, parking in a narrow space, comparing products, filling out forms, and checking logical arguments. These tasks demand readiness and concentration, and performance suffers if attention is not properly allocated. Attention is a limited resource. You can allocate it to activities, but if you try to go beyond your budget, you'll fail. Effortful activities interfere with each other, making multitasking difficult or impossible. For example, you can't compute 17 times 24 while making a left turn in dense traffic. Easy tasks can be done simultaneously, but demanding ones require undivided attention. Social behavior reflects this awareness. Passengers stop talking when a driver overtakes a truck, knowing distraction is dangerous. Intense focus can make people blind to obvious stimuli. The famous invisible gorilla experiment demonstrates this. Viewers counting basketball passes often miss a woman in a gorilla suit crossing the court. System 1 and System 2 are active whenever we're awake. System 1 runs automatically, while System 2 is usually in a comfortable, low-effort mode. System 1 generates suggestions, impressions, intuitions, intentions, feelings for. System 2, if endorsed, these become beliefs and actions. Most of the time, System 2 adopts System 1's suggestions with little modification. When System 1 encounters difficulty, System 2 steps in for detailed processing, especially when surprised or facing complex problems. The division of labor between System 1 and System 2 is highly efficient, minimizing effort and optimizing performance. System 1 is generally accurate in familiar situations, making swift and appropriate reactions. However, it has biases and systematic errors, sometimes answering easier questions or misunderstanding logic and statistics. System 1 cannot be turned off. It always operates unless attention is totally focused elsewhere. System 2 takes over when things get difficult, usually having the last word. Classic experiments reveal conflicts between the two systems. For example, naming the position of words or identifying upper, lower case can be easy or difficult, depending on the column. These tasks engage System 2, requiring programming of memory and prioritizing relevant words. Overcoming competing automatic responses is a strain, slowing you down. This conflict between intention and automatic reaction is common in life, such as resisting the urge to stare or forcing attention on a boring book. System 2 is in charge of self-control, overcoming impulses from System 1. Everyday experiences, like not telling someone off or following instructions during a car skid, require System 2 to override automatic reactions. This ability to control attention and behavior is essential for managing conflicts between intention and impulse. System 2's role is to keep us polite, alert, and rational, especially when emotions run high or situations demand careful thought. Visual illusions, like the Miller-Lyer illusion, show the autonomy of System 1. Even after measuring lines and knowing they are equal, you still see one as longer. System 2 can learn to mistrust impressions, but cannot prevent System 1 from doing its thing. Cognitive illusions are similar. Intuitive errors are difficult to prevent because System 1 operates automatically. Biases can only be avoided through enhanced monitoring and effortful activity of System 2. Cognitive illusions also appear in clinical settings. For example, therapists may feel strong sympathy for patients with repeated failed treatments. But this attraction is a danger sign, a cognitive illusion. System 1 generates feelings that are not under voluntary control, while System 2 must recognize and override them. The best we can do is learn to recognize situations where mistakes are likely and try harder to avoid significant errors when stakes are high. System 1 and System 2 are useful fictions agents within the mind, with distinct personalities, abilities, and limitations. Describing mental processes as actions of these systems makes complex ideas easier to understand. System 2 calculates products. System 1 drives cars under routine conditions. And System 2 prevents foolish reactions. These characters are not real systems in the brain, but they help us think about judgment and choice. If this story were a film, System 2 would be a supporting character who believes herself to be the hero. System 2's defining feature is effortfulness and a reluctance to invest more effort than necessary. Thoughts and actions that System 2 believes it has chosen are often guided by System 1. However, only System 2 can perform vital tasks requiring effort and self-control, overcoming System 1's intuitions and impulses. To experience System 2 at full tilt, try the Add 1 task. Increment each digit in a string by 1, keeping a steady rhythm. Most people can handle 4 digits, but Add 3 is much harder. Mental effort is visible, pupils dilate, heart rate increases, and the strain is palpable. Researchers have used pupil size as a window to mental effort, revealing how demanding tasks cause larger dilations and peak effort coincides with maximum pupil size. Mental life is usually conducted at the pace of a comfortable walk, interrupted by episodes of jogging or sprinting. Tasks like Add 1 and Add 3 are sprints, while casual conversation is a stroll. During mental sprints, people may become effectively blind to other stimuli, as shown in experiments where participants miss visual targets during peak effort. The pupil is a reliable measure of physical arousal accompanying mental effort. Mental energy is allocated like electricity tasks draw the effort they need, but no more. When overloaded, System 2 protects the most important activity, allocating spare capacity to other tasks. In experiments, participants prioritized digit tasks, missing visual targets during high demand. This selective allocation of attention has evolved to respond quickly to threats and opportunities, improving survival chances. As you become skilled in a task, its demand for energy diminishes. Brain studies show fewer regions involved as skill increases. Highly intelligent individuals need less effort to solve the same problems, as indicated by both pupil size and brain activity. The law of least effort applies to cognitive and physical exertion. People gravitate to the least demanding course of action, and laziness is built deep into our nature. Effort is required to maintain several ideas in memory, combine them according to rules, follow instructions, compare objects, and make deliberate choices. System 2 is the only one that can follow rules and compare multiple attributes. System 1 detects simple relations and integrates information about one thing, but cannot handle multiple distinct topics or statistical reasoning. System 2 adopts task sets, programming memory to override habitual responses. Switching from one task to another is effortful, especially under time pressure. Modern tests of working memory require rapid switching between demanding tasks, retaining results, while performing others. People who do well on these tests tend to excel in intelligence tests. The ability to control attention predicts performance in complex jobs, such as air traffic controllers and pilots, beyond intelligence alone. Time pressure drives effort, especially when memory is loaded. Like a juggler, you must refresh and rehearse information before it decays. Tasks requiring multiple ideas in mind at once are hurried and demanding. Most people avoid mental overload by dividing tasks into easy steps, committing intermediate results to long-term memory or paper. We conduct our mental lives by the law of least effort. System 2 has a natural speed, like a comfortable stroll. Routine activities, driving, reading, exchanging pleasantries require little effort and no strain. However, accelerating beyond the speed impairs coherent thinking. Physical and mental effort compete for limited resources, and self-control is needed to maintain deliberate thought. Frequent task switching and speeded up mental work are not intrinsically pleasurable, so people avoid them when possible. Cognitive work isn't always aversive. The psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi studied the state of flow, effortless concentration, so deep that people lose sense of time and self. Activities inducing flow, like painting or racing motorcycles, require focused attention, but no exertion of self-control. In flow, resources are directed to the task at hand, separating concentration from deliberate control of attention. Self-control and cognitive effort are forms of mental work. People challenged by demanding tasks and temptations are more likely to yield to temptation. System 1 has more influence when System 2 is busy, leading to impulsive choices. Cognitive load isn't the only cause. Fatigue, alcohol, and anxiety also weaken self-control. Controlling thoughts and behaviors is a task for System 2. Ego depletion occurs when voluntary effort, cognitive, emotional, or physical, draws on a shared pool of mental energy. After exerting self-control in one task, people are less willing or able to exert control in another. Experiments show that resisting temptation or stifling emotions reduces stamina and performance in subsequent tasks. Ego depletion is partly a loss of motivation, not just cognitive load. Effortful mental activity consumes more glucose than most other body parts. When actively involved in difficult reasoning or self-control, blood glucose drops. Experiments confirm that ingesting glucose can undo ego depletion, restoring performance. For example, judges reviewing parole cases approve more requests after meals, and approval rates drop as fatigue and hunger set in. Mental energy is more than a metaphor, it's a biological reality. System 2 monitors and controls thoughts and actions suggested by System 1, allowing some to be expressed and suppressing others. Simple puzzles, like the bat and ball problem, evoke intuitive answers that are appealing but wrong. Many people fail to check these answers, demonstrating the law of least effort. Overconfidence and faith in intuition are common, and cognitive effort is mildly unpleasant, so people avoid it. Logical arguments and reasoning tasks reveal that people often endorse plausible answers without checking their validity. When people believe a conclusion is true, they are likely to believe supporting arguments, even if unsound. System 1 delivers the conclusion first, and System 2 follows. Memory function and deliberate checking vary among individuals, influencing reasoning and susceptibility to errors. Failing reasoning tests is often a matter of insufficient motivation. Students can solve difficult problems when not tempted to accept superficial answers. Those who avoid intellectual sloth are more alert, skeptical, and rational. Keith Stanovich distinguishes between intelligence and rationality. Rationality is the ability to avoid lazy thinking and invest effort in checking intuitions. The bat and ball problem is a better indicator of susceptibility to cognitive errors than IQ tests. Experiments show a link between self-control and intelligence. Children who resist temptation, like waiting for a larger reward, later score higher on tests of executive control and intelligence. Training attention improves both executive control and intelligence, and specific genes and parenting techniques influence these abilities. The ability to control attention is closely connected to emotional regulation and cognitive aptitude. The Cognitive Reflection Test, CRT, measures the supervisory function of System 2. Low scores are impulsive, impatient, and prefer immediate gratification. They're willing to pay more for overnight delivery and accept suggestions from System 1. High scores are more rational, cautious, and less likely to accept superficial answers. System 1 is impulsive and intuitive. System 2 is reasoning and cautious, but sometimes lazy. System 1 operates as an associative machine. Seeing words like bananas and vomit triggers images, emotions, and physical reactions automatically. Ideas evoke other ideas in a spreading cascade, forming coherent patterns. This process, called associative activation, links memories, emotions, and reactions, creating a self-reinforcing pattern that is both diverse and integrated. Cognition is embodied. Your body reacts as much as your mind. Priming effects show how exposure to a word or concept changes the ease with which related ideas are evoked. Seeing eat primes SOP, while wash primes SOAP, priming influences not only concepts, but also actions and emotions. Experiments reveal that assembling sentences with elderly themes makes young people walk slower, and gestures like nodding or shaking the head influence attitudes unconsciously. Priming effects reach into every corner of life. Voting patterns are influenced by polling station, locations, and reminders of money prime individualism and selfishness. Experiments show that people exposed to money-related cues are less helpful and prefer greater distance from others. Cultural primes, like images of leaders or reminders of mortality, shape attitudes and behaviors unconsciously. Priming also affects moral behavior. Thinking about shameful actions increases the likelihood of choosing cleansing products, like soap or mouthwash. The Lady Macbeth effect shows that feeling one's soul is stained triggers a desire to cleanse the body. The effect is specific to the body part involved in the sin, and actions are influenced without conscious awareness. Priming phenomena arise in System 1, and we have no conscious access to them. Experiments in office kitchens show that symbolic reminders, like images of eyes, increase honesty and contributions. People respond to primes without awareness, and disbelief is not an option. The results are robust and apply to everyone. System 1 provides impressions that become beliefs and choices, often without conscious awareness. Cognitive ease is a key variable monitored by System 1. When things are easy, you're in a good mood, trust your intuitions, and feel comfortable. When strained, you're vigilant, suspicious, and invest more effort. Ease is affected by font, clarity, repetition, mood, and even facial expressions. Cognitive ease leads to casual, superficial thinking, while strain mobilizes System 2 for deeper analysis. Memory is susceptible to illusions. Familiarity can be mistaken for truth, and repeated exposure to a word or phrase increases the likelihood of believing it. Experiments show that people rate repeated words more favorably, even without conscious awareness. The mere exposure effect is a primitive basis for social attachments and psychological stability, extending to all animals. Judgments of truth are influenced by cognitive ease. Frequent repetition, clear fonts, simple language, and rhyming increase the likelihood of believing statements. Experiments show that people believe false statements more when presented in easy-to-read formats. The impression of familiarity is produced by System 1, and System 2 relies on it for true, false judgments. Authoritarian institutions and marketers exploit this effect. Cognitive strain, whatever its source, mobilizes System 2, shifting people from intuitive to analytic modes. Experiments show that performance improves with bad fonts, as strain prompts deeper analysis. The pleasure of cognitive ease is associated with good feelings, and repetition induces liking. System 1 responds to impressions, even when System 2 is unaware. Mood affects intuition and creativity. Experiments show that people in a good mood perform better on associative tasks, while unhappy subjects are less intuitive. Good mood loosens System 2's control, increasing reliance on System 1. Creativity, gullibility, and intuition cluster together, while sadness, vigilance, and analytic effort form another cluster. Cognitive ease is both a cause and consequence of pleasant feelings. System 1 is a machine for jumping to conclusions. This is efficient when conclusions are likely correct and mistakes are acceptable. However, jumping to conclusions is risky in unfamiliar situations with high stakes. Ambiguity is often neglected and doubt suppressed, as System 1 resolves ambiguity automatically. System 2 must intervene to prevent intuitive errors, especially when the stakes are high.